How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the first video of Build an AI powered full stack in Next.js. So this is a course taught by Scott Moss, and the idea of this series of videos is to, well, not only improve my communicational skills, but also is to get my hands dirty when it comes to do the work. So we're going to look at the introduction of this course. I'm going to also flesh that out, all the different topics from this course, and to improve my writing skill, which is also important. So let's get into this, right? I'm going to take a look at the intro. Right now what I'm going to do is to take notes out of this. I don't want to receive any flag here, so fair use. Well, I can barely see this, man. What about this? Oh, right, much better.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Scout Moss.
I must admit that I copy his way to salute because I really resonate with that. In any way, okay.
And I had over a decade of experience building full stack apps. And in this course, you're going to build your very own using the latest version of Next.js. Since the latest version was released, we have features like layouts, templates, server components, client components, server actions, also all the exciting things happening with AI. I'm going to walk you through building your own full stack app, leveraging those technologies. We have the potential to build something amazing. So I hope you have fun taking the course because I had an amazing time creating it, and I can't wait for you to try it yourself.
All right, so what is this? Because yeah, create a full stack AI powered journal app from scratch. Okay, so this is the goal of this course, right? Is to create a full stack AI powered journal, a full stack AI powered journal. App from scratch in Next.js. App from the scratch in Next.js. Why is this? Because at the end of the day, that's what I want to go there. I want to be now a full stack, a truly full stack. Why is that? Because this is how you can provide the most value for companies. Not only as a front end, but as a back end. You combine that, you can now improve the time response to bug fix or feature implementation. That's the idea of what I'm doing all these kind of videos. And I encourage you to not necessarily go and take a look or follow this particular path, but it's to understand that why you are doing the thing that you need to be done. And in this case is, well, if you're going to dedicate your time to be a front-end and a back-end developer, this is a way of how you can now is provide value not only to yourself when it comes to solve particular problems, so you can be the right guy or goal to do that. And this can be applied to any other domain, right? So in any case, TLDR, too long didn't read, is, hey, would you like is to now learn all of this kind of stuff, have a hands-on approach of doing this, therefore you'll now be able to provide value not only to yourself but also for your clients. Let's get into this. Oh my God, let's get into this. Okay, so the goal of this is create a full stack AI power journal app from scratch in Next.js. Understanding now what is the fundamental of Next.js. We're not gonna discuss about that. The TLDR is that now Next.js now provides an infrastructure needed for developing applications in React, which is an open source that was developed by Facebook back in 2011, sorry. And then now, because they are only focused to build this user interface, so for example, buttons like this, or text, or only UI elements, which is a wrapper around the DOM. However, it doesn't help you when it comes to actually build now web applications and all the things that are along with, and that is that because you're using React and you don't want to write JavaScript every time you create our components, we use something called JSX. So we need a transpiler to take now that particular format and output a something that cannot be understood by the browser. JavaScript. Also, we need a way to make our code uh, uh, as much as error prone or free of bugs as possible to help us to solve some of the common problems in JavaScript, or a linter. So we need a linter for that. And also is now we need to do some static analysis. It is that, hey, is this component receiving the proper data that we need to, right? That's why we have TypeScript. Also, hey, is this component actually have the same visual format, right? So we can now, when anytime we look at a component, we can at least have the same conventions. So we just go straight forward to where we need to solve or fix, right? So you need a formatter, prettier. And if you are going to build your application for the client or the server, in other words, it's like you want your app be run on the client or on the server, so you have now two different rendering modes, and how you're going to deal with that is part of the way of how you're going to develop your web app, right? And also then how you're going to deploy those kind of application, or where you're going to deploy those kind of apps, and what are the abstractions needed or the tools that we need as we build these front-end applications. So for example, like how do we handle with concurrency in our applications? So for example, single values, like using promises, or a series of eventual values. Perhaps you want to go with observables. These streams of data that you want to now take each individual unit of data and then pass through some sort of steps and distribute that through our system. So for example is user events, let's say clicking, typing, right? Or the data that come from the server, right? Whether it is a single message or streams of data. And we also need to weigh of how can we deal with the data that we're going to store in our application, right? Which is the application state management. So are we going to use now some sort of state management for that? Are we going to store the data of our applications on memory or on disk, right? And what is the what is the network protocol that we need to go with? Whether it is HTTP, follow like the RESTful, or a GraphQL, or perhaps you want to use some sort of additional network protocol, whether it is connection based or connectionless, let's say HTTP, HTTP1 or HTTP2, or WebSockets, or you want to go with a connectionless protocol like UDP, which is using Speedy, or HTTP3, right? The idea here is that there is a lot of stuff that's going on that if you truly want to understand how all of these different pieces works together as a way to be the person who can solve that problem, that's a lot of things that you need to learn first. And also now Next.js comprises a lot of this stuff for you. So in terms of infrastructures and also conventions. And now, well, yeah, that was a lot. I know there was a lot to digest, uh, but in any case, bear with me because the goal of this is to create this full stack AI powered journal from scratch in Next.js, recording our process, and then upload that to YouTube. So we'll see how all the different pieces in Next and React fit together, which is quite interesting. So we are going to see how all of the different features in Next.js and React fit together, right? So you have now layouts, templates, client components, server actions, right? I mentioned a couple of that middlewares, exactly. So like client component, server component, static and dynamic routing. So client component, right? Server component, uh, static routing, dynamic routing, server actions, right? Exactly. Server actions, layout, and templates. So middleware, right? So store data in a serverless Prisma DB on planet scale. And store data in a serverless, store data in a serverless. The name is deceiving. Prisma DB on planet scale. Planet scale, and integrate the OpenAI API. Okay. And integrate the OpenAI API and line change before deploying your app to the world. And OpenAI in line chain before deploying your app to the world. Exactly, before deploying your app. So, so this is the goal of this course. So you have the general objectives, okay, which is understand the fundamentals of building a full stack app, web app in 2025, right? With React and Next, right? And you have this specific objective, which is pretty much this kind of stuff that we mentioned here. Which is all of this specific problem. So what does so Next aims to solve different rendering modes and architecture. So what problem does it solve? Next aims to solve is infrastructure and different rendering modes. Infrastructure for web development, okay, and different rendering modes. So SPA, server-side rendering, and now using React Server Component. The whole point of this is to improve the user experience, user retention and conversion, and developer experience. So what are the topics of this course? Well, you have now the introduction, right? This is pretty much the same. So introduction, and then you have app setup and authentication. That may be quite boring, but it's important. Connecting to a database, building the journal page, okay? That's it. Here is when now This is when the project begins. Creating and updating journal entries, right? And understanding AI and prompt engineering. Okay, understanding AI and prompt engineering. Analyzing entries. Da, da, da. And then you have the vectors and similarity search. You know, this is actually getting into this fundamental concept. So you also have the sentiment analysis and the testing and deploying. That's a lot. That's a lot, by the way. All right. So, yeah, let's get into this. Let's get into this. That's right. I'm going to remove all of his reference for that. And then you got it. Introduction. Okay. Alright. So because I don't want to receive any red flag from this, no thanks. I'm gonna take a look at the another tab and start the course there. Okay.
Welcome to building a full stack AI powered app with Next.js. I'm your instructor, Scott Moss. A little bit about me. I've been an engineer for over a decade now, working on all different types of technologies and projects. My last stint as an engineer was at a company called Netflix, you might have heard about, for over a decade now, working on all different types of technologies and projects. My last stint as an engineer was at
My last stint. What the French is stint? Oh, my last stint. Interesting. My last stint. My last stint. My last stint. Stint is a job. My last job. My last stint. Oh my God. What the French is this? Jesus. Stint. Oh, okay. This is British, bro. My last stint, which is a fixed or limited period of time spent doing a particular job or activity. My last experience, my last stint. Jesus. Okay. The last stint. This is another way. This is another reason why I'm actually taking note of this, because you are learning vocabulary, and it is quite weird. It is hard for you if you're not exposed to those environments. So how are you going to learn the jargon if you don't even expose yourself to that? So the last things of Scott Moss. Yep. So the last thing of Scott Moss is to, was at Netflix. Interesting. Holy moly, bro.
a company called Netflix, you might have heard about it, where I worked on all different types of things there. Pretty interesting stuff. And I say that because I no longer am a professional engineer. I don't write code for a living anymore. I'm actually an investor now, where I actually invest in some of the exciting technology companies.
The last thing of Scott Moss was at Netflix. Right now, he is now an investor.
That are coming out today, so I spend a lot of my time doing that. But it has enabled me to write code for fun now, which has actually just been more enlightening, and I feel like it's got me past this plateau, which I thought I was at, because I only get to work on exciting stuff. So I don't have to worry about scaling issues. I just get to work on cool stuff that comes out, and I feel like it's got me past this plateau, which I thought I was at, because I only get to work on exciting stuff. So
this plateau.
Write code for fun now, which has actually just been more enlightening, and I feel like it's gotten me past this plateau of which
I feel like it's gotten me past this plateau, which I thought I was. Mm, so he feels like it's gotten. He feel that it's that it's gotten. He feels that God. Okay, he feels that was in a plateau in the past. That it was in a plateau. Okay. The last thing of Scott Moss was on Netflix. Right now, he is now an investor. He feels that was a plateau uh, in the past.
I thought I was at, because I only get to work on exciting stuff.
Because back then he works at exciting stuff. So I don't have to worry about scaling issues.
I don't have to worry about scaling issues. I just get to work on cool stuff that.
So he doesn't need to work. So he doesn't need to work. Okay, he doesn't need to worry about scaling stuff. But it's just to work on cool stuff that comes out every day. But on cool stuff. But on cool stuff that comes out every day. So he's not a professional engineer.
Comes out every day. So to me, that's fun. And yeah, in this course, I wanted to just give a little insight into the window of how I build full stack applications using some of my favorite technologies. I have a lot of opinions on how to do things. If you've ever taken any of my courses, you know that I could be very random, but also at the same time have some type of path that I'm moving towards too. So I thought it'd be really cool for us just to build something together and collaborate that way and just have that moment where we learn from each other and build something cool. So this course, if you've taken any of the intro courses, those courses are obviously just a little slower intentionally to just get you the foundational skills that you need to know. And there's like notes and stuff associated with it. This course, you're just going to be following along with me as we build something, and we'll just be referencing docs as we go because those are the best notes when you're building something. But I'll take my time. I won't move too fast. If there's commands that you all need, I'll take my time. You can look at those commands. And then also for your reference, I already pushed up the finished app code to too fast. You just obviously just a little slower intentionally to just get you the foundational skills that you need to know. And there's like notes and stuff associated with it. This course, you're just going to be following along with me as we build something, and we'll just be referencing docs as we go because those are.
Okay. Yeah. So this course will be a little bit this fast in pace. Since we are going to reference the docs a lot.
The best notes when you're building something. But I'll take my time. I won't move too fast. If there's commands that you all need, I'll take my time. You can look at those commands. And then also for your reference, I already pushed up the finished app code.
Journal new entry
to my GitHub, in which you can check out my URL. So my GitHub handle is Hendrixer, named after my son. His name is Hendrix. Reference, I already pushed up the finished app code to my GitHub, in which you can check out. Here's my URL. So my GitHub handle is
Anyway. Okay, but again, this is the last version.
Hendrix, sir, named after my son. His name is Hendrix.
And so this is now the resource area, resources. This is the GitHub repo. This is the repo, GitHub repo, right? There you got it. All right.
And yeah, it's just Fullstack AI Next.js. You can check it out. The complete app is there. So as you're following along, please reference this for any of the code that we'll be writing. I will probably be referencing it as I move along, just so I can stay consistent with what's here. So I'm not teaching you something completely different than what I already pushed up, because as you know, like, I don't remember a lot of stuff. I just do it again. So sometimes it's slightly different, but I will be referencing this as well. So you should also do that if you feel lost. But it's gonna be fun. We're just gonna move. You could think of this as like a pair programming exercise, and we're all just gonna pair program together.
Yeah, you can think of this. That's the reason why I'm doing all of this, you know. So you can think of this like pair programming session.
Well, so you should also do that if you feel lost. But it's gonna be fun. We're just gonna move. You could think of this as like a pair programming exercise, and we're all just gonna pair program together, and it's gonna be cool. I'm really pumped about it. Any questions so far? Okay, well, let me give you a demo of the app that we're gonna be making, so you kind of know what we're aiming for, and then we'll just jump right in and try to make it. So the app we're gonna be making is a journal app called Mood, and Mood is basically, it's an app where you can write your journal entries, and then using AI, what it'll do is it will basically try to determine what the mood of your journal entry is.
Okay. So the project here is called. The project here is called the journal mood. Journal mood, which is basically telling more
entries,
determine.
And then using AI, what it'll do is it will.
Okay. Using AI. So what I will do? So what I will do is determining the mood of your entry. Is determine the mood of determine the mood of an entry, right?
Basically, try to determine what the mood of your journal entry is.
So try to determine what the mood of the journal entry is,
and try to give you a sentiment analysis on like what you were feeling,
and try to give you a sentiment analysis. All right, so let's try to determine what the mood, exactly, try to determine what the mood of the journal entry is, and try to give you a sentiment analysis of what you were feeling.
what you were saying.
Okay, of what you were feeling, or what you how you felt that day, what you were saying. Okay, what you were feeling, what you were saying, how you felt that day, how you felt that day. That's interesting. Okay.
How you felt that day. Was it negative? Was it positive? It'll try to do all of that.
Was it negative? Was it positive? It'll do that. It'll okay. It'll try to do all of that. That's right. That's
And we're going to leverage AI to make that happen. And that way,
okay. And we are going to leverage AI to make that happen.
kind of have all these journal entries where you can kind of go back and say, how did I feel last week? Or what was my day like yesterday? Or what was my month like?
So you can, so you can go back and say, how did I feel? How did I?
Was a bridge AI to make that happen, and that way you kind of have all these journal entries where you can kind of go back and say, how did I feel last week?
How did I feel last week? Exactly. How did I feel? How did I feel last week?
Or what was my day like yesterday?
Yeah. How did I feel last week? Or how was my day? How was my day? Or how was my day? How was my day like yesterday? Yeah, but how did I feel? How did I feel and how?
Yesterday, or what was my month like? Was I in a bad mood?
What was my month like? What was my month like?
This month, and it's quite powerful. So if you're asking yourself, I don't know how to do anything AI related, that's fine. You don't need to know anything about AI. Everything you need to know we're going to cover in this course, but if you know how to use an API, then you already know everything you need to know, because that's all we're going to be doing is using an API. But we will dive deep into that a little more. There's a lot there to unpack, but yeah, you're going to be building that. So basically, here it is. Here's a landing page. It's got award-winning copy on it, and then you click Get Started, and you can sign in. So I can sign in with Google here. Once you sign in, you are introduced to this dashboard here where you have some journal entries. Looks like I already have an entry that I've made. So if I click on this entry, you can see a few things here. So you get this text editor here where you can write some entries. So this one, actually I had ChatGPT generate this entry. So I made it intentionally. I was like, can you write an entry of someone who had a really down bad day? And that's what it wrote. So if you're like reading
Mood
this, like, wow, Scott,
defeated.
like, are you okay? Like, no, I didn't write this. Did, okay? But as you can see, the analysis that we got back from this post was that
Today the world seems to throw a smogger or my series my way. It was one of those days when you are running late. No matter how hard you try to keep up with time, the universe was in no mood to forgive. Mood defeated. Negative true. Subject, a series of unfortunate events.
it determined the subject. So the subject was a series of unfortunate events. That's the actual subject. Yeah, Lemony Snicket's the series of unfortunate.
Lemony Snicket. Lemony Snicket. Lemony Snicket. What the French does is that? A Lemony Snicket. What is this? Lemony Snicket. What the French does is this? Lemony Snicket. And why it redirected me to this? Oh, Lemony Snicket, a series of unfortunate events. Okay. What is this? Is it a movie? If this is a movie, a series of unfortunate Lemony Snicket. Lemony Snicket. What the French stuff is this? Lemony Snicket. Is this a movie? Oh. Lemony Snicket. Let me put it here on YouTube. What the French song is this? Trailer. That's right. Trailer. What? What? Let me sneak it.
Blue sky smiling at me. Nothing but blue sky.
Violet, Klaus, and Sunny were intelligent children. Most everything that happened to them was rife with misfortune and despair.
Your parents have perished in a terrible fire. Perished means killed.
We know what perished means.
Hello, 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 children. I am Count Olaf, your new guardian. Do you know what this is?
It looks like a list.
Wrong! It's a list. A list of chores.
We know you're just trying to steal our parents' fortune. We have to get out of this wretched place.
Go back in the house.
Where it's safer and strangers can't get you.
Strangers? Where? The Baudelaire children will be destroyed.
What?
When the sand runs out, that fortune is mine. I didn't realize the sand went so quickly. I bought it online. You're gonna need to flip it a couple of times.
Your parents and I.
We used to develop our own secret codes.
Our parents developed secret codes.
In my library, you will find all the answers that you need.
Let's get to work. Something strange is going on.
What's that?
Something my parents had. It looks like the tattoo Count Olaf has on his ankle.
Really? My name is Captain Shaft.
This man is really Count Olaf in disguise.
Aren't you smart?
Wherever you go, I will hunt you down.
Why do you hate us so much?
Because it's fun.
We are setting out on a very top secret expedition.
Lemon sneak it.
You say, Baudelaire, are you in?
Lemon sneak it. A series of unfortunate events. Oh,
I'm
that.
taking you to prison.
Well, good luck with that. I'm armed.
So am I.
Child's play.
Adorable.
Is that a harpoon gun?
Oh, okay. The only show that teach perfect grammar. Okay. Interesting. Lemon Snicket. Okay, this is part of a series of unfortunately events. It was written by. Oh, right. Okay. The author of book guidance. Could you translate that into English? Children's book series. Unfortunately, he is best known for his children's book series, a series of unfortunate events and all-round questions, published under the pen name Lemon Snicket. It's a pen name of an American author, Daniel Handler. Handler was published various children's books under the name, including a series of unfortunate events, which has sold over 60 million copies and spanned a 2004 film and Netflix TV series in 2017-2019. Oh, okay, that's quite interesting, my friend. Lisa Brown, an illustrator and a writer. Okay. Handel has been a voracious reader since childhood. The first book he bought as child was interesting. Okay. But this is actually something very, very quite recently. A series of unfortunate events and all wrong questions. All right. Okay. A series of unfortunate events. Sting. Let's get into this, my friends. Let's definitely get into this. All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Events. You know what? Now that I'm seeing like all the letters capitalized, I think it thinks it is that. That's kind of crazy because like why else would it capitalize the letters like that? Like it's a type. It's the series was that it determined the subject. So the subject was a series of unfortunate events. That's the actual subject. Yeah, Lemony Snicket's a series of unfortunate events. You know, now that I'm seeing like all the letters capitalized, I think it thinks it is that. That's kind of crazy because like why else would it capitalize the letters like that? Like
Exactly. Why will capitalize the letter like
it's a
that?
title or something. That actually makes sense. And then the mood is defeated. So it's the person who wrote this is in a defeated mood. And then is it negative? Yes, it is negative. It's true. And then also it generates this color based off the mood. So if your mood is brighter, this color will change. So just give you an example. I'm just gonna get rid of this and be like, today was the best day ever, right? And then what it'll do is it'll autosave. Actually, I think it's gonna break because I didn't start the database. Actually, let me do that. So it'll autosave. Oh no, I did. Never mind. There we go. So it'll autosave, and you see the color change to green based off you're in a happier mood, and now the subject is the best day ever, and the mood is happy, and it is no longer negative, right? So we're gonna build all that.
So
then you
he's
can go
now
back
is
and
based
track
on
all your
the
journal
his
entries,
training is
kinda just see
doing
how
that
your
kind
mood
of
was,
stuff.
you know, as long as you like to journal. And then the other thing that you'll be making is this history right here, this history plot. So this is basically we're gonna be using AI to determine your sentiment of all the journal entries that you have, and we're going to score them based off on a scale from -10 to 10. -10 being you're just so down bad, 10 being you are so happy, you're probably flying, and then 0 being neutral. So we're going to plot -10, basically kind of just see how your mood was, which is the best. It generates this color based off the mood. So
But it's quite interesting because it's now it generates even though a series of unfortunate events is like that makes a lot of sense.
If your mood is brighter, this color will change. So just give you an example. I'm just going to get rid of the database. Oh, the subject is the best day ever, and the mood. And then the other thing that you'll be making is this history right here. This history, and you can go.
So we're
color
gonna
change
do
to
is the
green, track.
journals. Okay. So we're about. So we are about to build is that's interesting. So we're about to build is. So we're about to build the journal sentiment analysis, and the history.
Basically, we're going to be using AI to determine your sentiment of all the journal entries that you have.
And the history sentiment across all. Okay, the history sentiment across all of your entries. That's interesting. That's interesting, by the way. So mood defeated. Mood defeated. So this is pretty much the journal that we're gonna create here, which is this one, and then we have to sign in here. And we need to sign in here, right? And then you do is this one, like so. And then you now going to is have this history here.
Determine your sentiment of all the journal entries that you have, and we're going to score them based off on a scale from -10 to 10. -10 being you're just so down bad, 10 being you are so happy you're probably flying, and then 0 being neutral. So we're going to plot those journals.
You're
so
probably
you can see
flying.
how your mood changes over time. So you can see this is the first entry you wrote, it was terrible. The next entry you wrote was very positive, and then you kind of neutraled out on the next one, a little more content on the next one, and then the last one we just wrote was terrible. This is when our cat left us. So we'll be doing that, and then you get an average sentiment up here. So on average, all the journal entries that I've written is a 0.1, so it's slightly above neutral. So I'm just a very neutral person right here. So 10 being excited, anything negative is pretty bad. So that's the second AI thing we'll be making. We'll also be making another one here in the journal. So we want to be able to ask questions about our journal entries.
Okay. The other is the ask questions. Wow, this is okay. Okay, this go. Okay. The other is ask questions.
Just to see, just to get some feedback. So you can ask a question and you will be able to, get some feedback on any of this stuff. So I can ask like, how has my mood in the last
Ask question to your
so-
entries.
Then I can ask this question here. It'll load, and what it's doing in the background, it's trying to grab all the necessary context and match it with the question that I have, and then come up with an appropriate answer. So it always says something silly. So I'm curious to see what it says this time. Okay, so based on that context today was terrible due to finding out about your cat's infidelity.
So based on the new context that today was terrible. Okay, what was the question?
In the background, you will be able to, get some feedback on any of this stuff. So I can ask like, how has my mood in the last week or so? Then I can ask this question here. It'll load, and what it's doing in the background, it's trying to grab all the necessary context and match it with the question that I have, and then come up with an appropriate answer. So it always says something silly. So I'm curious to see what it says this time. Okay, so based on that context today was terrible.
New
due
context
to finding out about your
that
cat's
today was
infidelity.
terrible due to finding about
It
your
can be
cat's
inferred that your mood
infidelity.
has likely been negatively
It can
impacted in
be
the last week or so.
your cat infidelity. It can be inferred that your mood was likely being negative impact in the last week or so, with particularly bad today. However, the previous inference about positive and upbeat mood before yesterday still
With a
stands.
particularly bad day today. However, the previous inference about a positive and upbeat mood before yesterday still stands. So you can ask
So-
whatever question you want about any of your entries. So
Oh, okay, but the idea
all
here
that
is
today,
to know
and
is
then
how
we'll
you
get to
can
testing
ask
and
questions to
what-
your series of entries, man. All right.
Well, let's just get started. So I'm just going
Okay.
to stop all the stuff that I have that you will be using soon. And we're just going to start anew. So let's try that. I'm just going to start anew here, and I'm just going to make a new directory. Oh, actually, I'm just going to use create next app. So you can do npx, and then create next app, and then I'm going to do latest. But caution here, when I do latest, this is going to resolve to the latest version as of today. So if you're taking this course in the future and you do latest, you might get a different version than the one I have now, and that version might be a break and change. So after we do latest, I'm going to show you the version that it resolved to, so then you can use that version if you're watching this course later to make sure you're on track with what we're doing. So make sure you have that, and then I'll just give it a name here. I'll call it AI. Well, actually, I'll just call it mood since that's the name of it. So I'm just going to call it mood. The other thing to note is that you need to make sure you have at least Node.js version 18 installed. 20 works. I think we had people use 20 the other day, and that seems to work fine. But at minimum, it needs to be 18. And that's because 18 has a smorgasbord of features that Next.js 13 relies on. So, and then now it's just going to walk you through. If you've ever built a Next.js app, you've probably seen this before, but it's just going to walk us through our settings. I typically pick the defaults, but I'll walk through them. So TypeScript, I love TypeScript, although I hate writing types. ESLint, Tailwind, for sure, we'll be using Tailwind. I don't care too much about the source directory. This is important. You will use the app router. If you say no here, you will be writing a completely different app, and you will not be able to follow along. So say yes to the app router. If you don't know what the app router is, check out the intro to the Next.js course where I talk about the app router and how all that works. But we'll obviously be using it, so there'll be commentary. And we won't mess with this here. And and then it'll go install all the things. So you can see everything it's installing. We have, TypeScript, Next, Tailwind,
So set up
Post
app
CSS,
homepage with Tailwind CSS, authentication with Clerk,
React DOM. And that's the
authentication
important thing to know is that,
middleware. Authentication with Clerk. Clerk authentication. Oh, the most comprehensible user management platform. It's also a way of how they can now show some of this. Seamless is the case for modern frameworks, Next.js Astro. The easy solution for multi-tenancy. Very slow. The best practice building their sign-in user profile component will take months to implement in-house. Yet no sacrifice is made in terms of enterprise extensibility or customizations to your brand. Merchants of complexity, bro. We are big admirers of what the Clerk dev team are building and looking forward to working more closely with them. Start now, no string attached. So now they're using is Clerk for that. Another authentication method, but you can also use is the auth Next.js, next auth. That's right. For example, like this, right? This is open source, full stack, and all your data. If you are interested in doing that kind of stuff, so you got all of this. This is the server, and on the client app and page like so. This is to actually implement is the authentication here. Next, Next.js is an open source community project where you can get this kind of stuff. All right. Cool. Well, now let's get into this. Clerk. Let's get into this. Let's definitely get into this. Definitely getting into this.
Okay, well, then I'll talk about that you're really good at.
All right. Yep. Organic, man. Organic, bro. Organic. Organic. Oh, come on, man. Oh my god. Anyway. Nope. We are doing this. And this is now on the Next.js. Next.js. There you go. Yep. And there it is. Big thanks to Scott and Franco Master. Mm-hmm.
Next.js isn't. Next.js is just sitting on top of React, so you still need React here. It's not like some.
All right, let's get into this. So now that we know that this is the kind of app that we're going to build, we're going to build is the Finder here. All of this. Exactly. Okay, so this is what we're going to build. What? This is the image of what we are going to build, right? Just like that. The best journal, you get this. So sentiment analysis, as well as this, and journal. Okay, let's get into this. So first things first, let's go and create now this. In our case, let's get into cursor. Alright, I think we can go to VS Code, and then we do is this. Is I get push origin API. How Next.js API works behind the scenes. There you got it. And after that, we push and merge this. Okay. Good. Good. So let's get into this. It's going to create now here mood, like so. I would like in fact is to open this on code, because this is not going to be a new one. I would like to open up this folder here, Next.js test portfolio in open folder, open folder here. Just want to open this. Yeah, that's right. No, from the master here. We're gonna open up this, and here is where we're going to now dive into this. So let's get into this. Go to create now. So follow me along here, which is here. Let's go to create now is this one. Say hey, npm create next app 13. Say hey, let's go to create now mood. Would you like to use TypeScript? This is part of the onboarding process. Yes, please, my friend. Also, I want this linter, the tailwinds for our styles, and giving this now nice, convenient, small utility CSS class features or properties to give some style to our components. The source, which is hey, if you have previously used now Next, you might find out that there is now a way of how you can define your routes, right? And pages, following the file-based routing. Now, it means that you can stick with the old way of doing that, source directory, or with the app folder, which is what we're gonna do here. Now, app folders, of course, I want to go with the app router. And the idea of the app router is following these file-based conventions where you can now define is not only your pages, but or your different segments. You can even host in Next.js is, for example, your marketing and the docs and your app, right? Following is the group route levels, and then inside of this route or in folders, you might want to, or you can define is pages, and on each one of those folders you have some sort of convenience React components to deal with layouts, which is render only once, templates, which is render on any time you or a new request get in here, the loading, the error, and the 404, right? So this is some of the convenient stuff that you can go with, as well as the static and dynamic routing. And also you can define your own server under the app router, under the /APIs and routes. You can provide any route as you want. So those are serverless functions, which is, it can be deceived the name, because at the end of the day you need a server to run that. But what it does is to take that function, load it, read into memory, execute it, and then once that is done, is over. Again, there is a lot of strategy here to optimize that techniques in terms of when you want to update that, of how often you want to update that. You have now this cold or hot refresh, because anytime you now are calling that function, you have to bootstrap from the scratch. So you get the idea. But in any case, would you like to customize the import alias? No.
So the AI and 18 features, pick the default director. It's with this here, and yeah.
And yep, here we are. So it's now actually building that. As you can see here, this is mood, React down, next types, all of this kind of stuff. Let's wait for that. This is supposed to be quite fast because I host a very powerful PC right now. That's great. Awesome. Here it tells me, hey, I'm using is the version 20. That's right. And we successfully installed that in Mood. A new version of Create Next app is available. You can update by this. Thanks, but no thanks, because we're gonna stick with the version 13 right now.
And then we'll just do this. Okay, cool. So now we're here.
All right. So now let's go open up that folder. Say, hey, open folder here in this. Why is this repos? No. Frontend masters. That's right. Here we got Mood. All right. Here we are in Mood. So a quick overview of what are all of these folders. You have now the app, as I mentioned before. The public, where you can put all of your static assets. Again, something we're gonna discuss that later. The linting tool, the git ignore, the environment variables that you can put here to protect your assets. The powerhouse, which is the next config. The package JSON that we can see. We have several scripts: def, build, star, and lint. And some of the dependency that we need to. For example, like Node, React DOM, Autoprefixer. This is something that help you with the common prefix that needs to target a specific browser, whether it's WebKit for Safari or Moz for Mozilla, and WebKit also for Chrome. And the post CSS, you can think of this like Babel for CSS, right? If you don't know what Babel is, it's just a way of how you can transpile one set of definition in CSS into something that can be understood by current browsers. It's also a way of how you can use the new latest features or the draft of CSS spec right now. Well, React DOM, Tailwinds, and TypeScript. Yep. So Tailwinds here is this library that help us to compile is CSS utility class that we only need, and then make that available through our application. All right.
The very first thing that I like to do is I'm going to make a new file called a .prettier file.
Oh yeah.
Because my setup doesn't work unless, like, my auto formatting ESLint VS Code setup doesn't work unless I have prettier file. And I also like to just turn off semicolons because I can't stand them, and I like single quotes.
Okay, so this is more naive. This is more for specific stuff. Like, hey, let's go to the to add the prettier, and yep, the prettier. So this is prettier. See, to add this column that I don't know if
VS Code set, because my setup doesn't work unless, like, my auto formatting ESLint VS Code setup.
Exactly, my auto formatting VS Code lint setup doesn't work, so I need to put it here as semicolon semicolon false. Yep. I think it's semicolon that we're gonna use, and the other is single quote. It is single quotes. I like single quote like that, right? All right. So this is pretty basically what we did here, right? There you got it.
Double quotes unless it's in a HTML attribute or a JSON object. That's it. I will never use a double quote anywhere else. And I posted, someone asked the other day for that setup for my VS Code. I have it here in a GIST. I guess I could post this link somewhere, but I'll just highlight it if that's just too hard to look at. What am I talking about? I gotta post that somewhere. Okay, so let's head back over to our app. All right, so now we have to post this link somewhere, but I'll just highlight it if that's just too hard to look at. What am I talking about? I gotta post that somewhere. Okay, so let's head back over to our app. All right, so now we have that. Quick little tour. If you haven't built Next.js in a while or haven't seen the app router, we're not gonna get into depth. That's what the intro course is for, but just give you, a world's view of what we have. I'm just gonna run this right quick, npm run dev. Get this thing going. We're gonna get started on 3000. Quick tip, if you're in a terminal, you can hold down command, click on any URL, and it'll open it in a browser for you, even if it doesn't highlight like this. It's pretty cool. So just open that up, and then you should see something like this, right? Next.js is standard hello world app with all the flair that you could expect from Vercel, with the consistent branding. So yeah, you'll get this, pretty cool. And then in the app directory, we just have these 4 files, right? We have a favicon. If you don't know what a favicon is, it's
wait a single VS config JSON, which is VS config JSON. Wait, single. We're gonna configure here the VS config JSON. Exactly, VS config JSON. Of course, because that's the extension. .json is this one. So now okay. Alright, so you in theory supposed to use is that. Is link prompt. That is being used here. Okay. Okay.
It's this logo that goes in the tab of your browser. That's what a favicon is. And a global CSS file, we have this layout file, and then we have a page. So I'm just gonna reset all of this. I'm gonna go into this home page and delete everything. We don't want none of that stuff there. I'm just gonna return a div inside of here. Actually, I'm gonna turn off my GitHub Copilot for now, because it's really annoying when I'm trying to teach. It like recommends stuff I don't want to do, and then it gets in the way of the autocomplete. So I'm just gonna say home here. I don't need this image. And then for the global CSS, I don't need any of this other than the tailwind directives up top. So I just got rid of all of that.
Okay. So let's go to get rid of on the app global. None of this. As you can see, we can use is root and all that kind of stuff. We're not gonna we're not gonna need this or this. Okay, and we're gonna now put here everything like this. You say, hey, this is now the div with the hello world. Alright, the div with the hello world. What? You spell that. Or only is home. Say home. We save this, we save this. We now take out the console. We run that. And there you go. It's running on the version 15.1.4. Why you do that if I explicitly tell you not to do that? Anyway, okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. Even though that I specify to install this version using like this, you do whatever you want. Okay. You do whatever you want. It's like, okay. It's like, okay. I recommend using Node and version for this course. Let me now get is the package JSON here, because unfortunately, you do whatever you want. Right? Unfortunately, you do whatever you want. And no, it's not what you think it is. You know, it's not what you think it is. Or at least let me is get the this particular version. It's like, no, baby, no. So let me stop here. Let me remove in a forced way the node models, right? And then install this again. I will. Wait, what? Oh, you know what? I don't want any conflict here. I don't want any conflict. Yeah, I don't want any conflict. I don't want any conflict. No. I don't want any conflict here. There you got it. npm install. I don't want any conflict here. Give me the model dependency here. Give me the model dependency, install that properly, and that's it. I would like to go with PNPM because this is much more faster in terms of now it hold all the package in one single place, one single store, where is now a memory addressable storage, where you don't have duplication of your models, which is a great stuff. So you save a lot of time and a lot of weight in your if you have multiple projects. All right, this might take quite a bit to do. So yeah, we also is installing LangChain, Next, PostCSS, React Autosave, React DOM, Recharge, SWR, Tailwinds, Victory, VTest, and SOT. That's quite interesting. All right, and there you got it. Okay, cool. Now, of course, we have a lot of vulnerabilities, which as supposed to, and when we run the script, we're now running like that. Okay, we navigate to this, and we only have is the home. All right, good.
And then for the global CSS, I don't need any of this. Doing a reset here. That way we don't have any of that stuff there. All right, and just for sanity check, our app still works. We didn't break any.
So app setup and authentication. This is the app setup and authentication. What is it? 4 sections. Setup and authentication. You got it. Right after that, and here we go. App setup and authentication.
Everything should be good to go on that.
So let me actually now create the repo for that, and there you got it, right? Say, hey, let's take a look at this here and create now a new repo here and say, hey, this is part of the new repo we're gonna create, right? Which is new. This is now a AI-powered Fullstack Next.js, like so. Or in this case, this is journal AI sentiment. Sentiment. Journal AI sentiment is gonna create this like so, and here we are. My question is, since we did this, GitHub repo, blah 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 blah. Okay. This might be the okay. Let me, in fact, do this. Just like this. All right, and on the readme, we're gonna do is this. And there you got it. All right, cool. Awesome. And now that we did this, it is time for us to initialize the repo by saying is git init. That's right. We initialize the repo here. We now add everything that we need to do, which is the first commit. Right. We add everything here. We commit to that. Right. And then we add the branch to the main. We rename that branch. And bam, we got it. Okay. There you got it. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so move on.
First thing first is we should work on the home page. Let's actually just get like our routes figured out. Like, what is the structure of our app? What are the routes going to look like? You know, how are you navigating to places and things like that? So let's build out our routes. That's kind of like where I like to start. And then from there, what I like to do is just go from like page to page. And sometimes I might get sidetracked where I'm like, oh, this page has a feature, and that feature like touches so many parts of the app, so you got to go build those things out. So like, I guess it's like a depth first approach to building an app. I'll go to a page, and then I'll drill down, you know, on every single feature into that page before I go to the next page, and I'll drill down on every feature on that page before I go to the next page. That way I'm not, you know, switching back and forth between different features, and you know, I don't want to leave anything in an incomplete state. So that's kind of how I work when I'm working solo. So that's what we'll probably do today. So yeah, let's get that structure going. So we know, you know, like I said, I have the reference here. So that's kind of how I put down every feature on that page before I go to the next page. That way I'm not page, and then I'll drill down, you know, on every single parts of the app. So you got to go build those things out. So like, I guess it's like a depth first approach to building an app. I'll go to a page, and then I'll drill down, you know, on every single feature into that page before I go to the next page.
Exactly. So where roll down is now everything in that feature initially, right? Which is homepage with tailwinds and CSS. With CSS link. So setup app, setup app and homepage. Setup app and homepage. Which is that, right? So the solo approach of developing Next.js app is to, well, take one page, develop all the features for that page before moving to another one. Just like that. Okay.
And I'll drill down every feature on that page before I go to the next page. That way I'm not, you know, switching back and forth between different features. And you know.
So this way, we don't have to switch
every single feature into that page before I go to the next page, and I'll drill down every feature on that page before I go to the next page. That way I'm not, you know, switching back and forth between different features.
That way we don't have to switch back and forth between different features.
And I don't want to leave anything in an incomplete state. So that's kind of how I work when I'm working solo. So that's what we'll probably do today.
And leave any features incomplete. All right.
So yeah, let's get that structure going. So we know, like I said, I have the reference here on GitHub. You can just kind of take a look at all the routes that we have. It's actually really not that much. So a few routes here. We obviously have our index page, which is just going to be page.tsx. That's going to be our home page. So we'll be putting some stuff in there. And then we have these 5 other folders. So this first folder is dashboard. But if you
And here we have now the definition of all of these routes. So we have the API entry, the new users, the sign in, and the sign out. But what we can start is with the design.
You know that if you put parentheses around a folder in Next.js app router, that this doesn't get added to the segment in the route. So this won't actually be a new route. It's just a way for me to group pages together that have similar UI. So we need to make that. We have our API. We'll talk about that some other time. We got this new user thing here, and this is actually just like a hack around authentication. We'll talk about that later. And then we also have these 2 catch-all routes for sign in and sign out that we'll also use for authentication. Right. So we'll just pretty much go in and make these right quick.
All right. So is this one? The route or the route folder structure is the following. Right, you say dashboard, API, new user, sign in, sign up, and all of that. Okay, makes a ton of sense. Makes a ton of sense. So this is the dashboard.
Wait, so let's do that. So over here in my directory, I'll make a new folder, dashboard, with parentheses, and Next.js app router, that this doesn't get added to the segment in the route. So this won't actually be a new route. It's just a way for me to group pages together that have similar UI. This is actually just like a hack around authentication. We'll talk about that later. And then we also have these 2 catch-all.
Okay. So dashboard, which is a group router, grouped routes. The new user, which is a hack.
Routes to actually just like group pages together that have similar UI. So we need to make that. We have our API. We'll talk about that some other time. We got this new user thing here, and this is actually just like a hack around authentication.
Okay. So new user is a hack around authentication. Here we go. And the catch and sign in. So sign in, that's right. Sign in and sign up. Sign in and sign up. Catch all routes.
Talk about that later. And then we also have these 2 catch-all routes for sign in and sign up that we'll also use for authentication. So we'll just pretty much go in and make these right quick. So let's do that. So over here in my directory, I'll make a new folder, dashboard, with parentheses in it. So we have that. And then next to that, I'm just going to add my API. And another folder, we're going to have new dash user.
Okay.
And another one will be sign dash up. And another one will be sign dash in. Not a file, but a folder.
So git switch, we can create a new branch.
So we have all our folders here. They don't really do anything.
By saying is the app setup and authentication. It's like app authentication, setup authentication, right? So here we're just going to add those folders here to say, hey, the dashboard. I think they made that in singular. That's right. Then you have another route, which is say APIs, pretty self-explanatory. The new user, which is a hacks around a authentications, and the sign in and sign out, right? Say, and the catch-all sign in and sign out. Sign in and sign up, I mean. And sign up. Okay.
Add a page.tsx to them, so we can't really route to them right now, but just so you can like visualize what's happening here. For now, let's just work on the home page. It's pretty simple, just some design here, and then we'll move on to actually, doing the dashboard, getting user authentication and stuff like that. So you can think of this as our warm up, just getting our fingers ready on these components. So this one's not too crazy. In fact, it doesn't even have a lot of functionality, but let's do it. So
this is just to get our fingers ready for the functionality.
Class name here, and we're gonna be using Tailwind. So I'm just gonna make this page full screen, vertically and horizontally. So I can just say width, screen, height, screen, like that. That's the same thing as saying width is 100% VW, view width, and height is
100 V height.
We got that. I'm just gonna put a background of black on a dark theme there, and we'll start from that. And then what I'll do is I'm actually just gonna make this a flex. So I'll say flex, and then I'll say justify, center, and then items, which is a line. Items, center, like that.
Item centers, like that.
And I'll just add a div for our content. So inside our content, we'll just have an H1 here. This is where our title will go, and we'll have a paragraph here. This is where our description will go.
Okay.
And another div here with a button in it, and this is where our button will go.
Get started.
Other thing we want to do is just make sure the text is white. Like that. Otherwise, it'll be black and we won't be able to see the text. So
it's overriding that.
Cool. So let's go check this out.
So if we now do this, so if we navigate to our that is a page, initial page here, which is home. You say, hey, you know what? The class name, because we are in GSX. What? Did you do that? You look, what? Anyway, but yeah, here we want is, because we're gonna use this tailwind, we say, hey, which screen to take is the 100% view width and the 100% of view height, right? They want to make the background black right now. You can also use some sort of nuance of the color you want to go with. In our case, black. And then don't forget to indicate that the text will be white. We want this to now is provide a margin, for this case to say justify items centers. Say justify center. So all the elements on the vertical, all the elements vertically will be centered, and the other is align center, or align items. No, it's items, center. Right. So justify center is say, hey, I would like to take a look at this. Justify center in CSS is a way to recap what we are doing here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it justifies center or justify content. Define how the browser distributes space between and around content along the main axis. So the main axis is the main axis of a flex container, and the inline axis of a grid and multi-column, and the inline axis on a grid and multi-column. Okay, inline axis. So it means that the justify aligns the item on the main axis, all right, which is on the x-axis, on horizontally, is like, hey, justify the content here and add space between them. All right. So aligns items on the main axis, and the other is the item centers, where you say, hey, item center. And we have this items, justify counting and justify items. Okay. Exactly. One of them is justify center, and the other is align center. Where is this? Align center. Anyway, let's go to take a look now at tailwind for that. Align items, which is item star, align items. Exactly. So this is align items. Okay, aligns items, which now it controls the alignment on the cross axis, which is the vertical axis, right? This is important to understand, at least the name of this for me, for myself, you know. So justify contents, align items on the main axis, on the x, and align items on the cross axis, which is on g axis. All right, good. And then we say here, hey, this will be now an h1 or a div to wrap all of this content. Say, hey, div, and I want you to now wrap all of this content as it is, right? H1 will be the title, and then you have the paragraph here, which is the description here, and the div here, say the div, the bottom, which is get started, and there you got it. So if we take a look now at the go, so npm run def, good. We initialize that, we go back to the browser, and if we navigate to that particular route, we'll now be able to see this title, description, get started. Interesting. Justify centers and item centers. That's interesting.
I won't be able to see the text. So cool. So let's go check this out. Sorry about this. There we go. Exactly what I wanted it to be, centered in the middle of the screen.
In this case, it didn't do that. Justify center, item centers. Perhaps I'm not using is justify centers and items, item center. That's quite interesting. That he didn't do that. He didn't align that in the middle. Even though that I create this. Justify items, item centers, and text white. Okay, let me now rerun this, perhaps. So the browser is now rendered that there. Exactly. So take all the available space here And for some reason it's justify center and item centers. What in the F, man? Oh, because this must be in a particular box called flex. Otherwise, this won't work. And now it makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yep, you got it. Title, description, and get started. Okay.
Cool. So let's go check this out. Where did I put this? There we go. Exactly what I wanted it to be, centered in the middle of the screen. Pretty easy. Let's make this title bigger, so I can say class name. Give it a text of, I don't know, 5XL. So that's huge. Actually, that's not even as huge as I thought it was going to be, so I'm going to make it even bigger. Yeah, 6XL for our title, and I'll say best journal app for hardcore. No, just the best journal app. Period. We could have used ChatGPT to make this for us. That's honestly, that's what we should have did.
The best.
We're gonna save the AI stuff for later.
The best journal app. Period. The best journal app. Period. We're gonna go here and add some style here to say, hey, the best journal app. Period. Which is text L or 4XL. I think you use now 6CL, exactly. The best journal app, period, as you can see.
So best journal app, period. And then for the description, you know, this is the best app for tracking your mood throughout your life.
This is the way, this is the best way, this is the best app. This is the best app to track your, this is the best app for tracking your mood. This is the best app for tracking your mood throughout your life, which is throughout your life. Throughout your life. All you have to do is to be honest. Wait a second. Oh,
that's good. And then,
so all you have to do is to be honest. So all you have to do is to be honest.
make this one not as bright, so we can say like text, and then like white, and then we can do slash here for opacity.
That's interesting. Here, if you can add some text, some style, you can say, let's gonna add this style here. So if I save this, you can see now this one. You can say, hey, text Y here. It'll be text Y. Text Y with some opacity. Text white with some opacity here, like 20.
And I could make it a little. Let's try 60. So that's 0.6 or 60%. There we go. The other thing we can do is that, like, I don't like how far left and right these things go. So what I'll do is you can put a container on it, but the containers like already has set max widths, and then you got to go modify the tailwind config to do that. It's a little sloppy. So I'm just going to do my own container and just do like a max width. So on this div that contains the content, I'll add a class name here.
Yep.
And I'll say width is.
So because I don't want to be the entire paragraph grow too much, I can create my own container and provide some now fixed width.
Width is full, so 100%, but I'll put a max width, and I'll just pick a random number, right? I'll just say, let's say a max width.
Okay, full, and you say max width will be is
Of 600 pixels.
Oh, okay. Here you can indicate is the number of pixels you want to. Okay, 600 pixels. So if we go back here, now we tell, hey, this is the container of this element.
So when you put a square bracket around a value like this in a tailwind class, this means I want to add a custom value instead of some hard-coded value. So I can put whatever value I want here.
Custom
and then just to make sure it stays centered, you can just say MX auto, which just stands for
margin. Okay, if you want to make this center, you can say MX margin auto. So if we look at this, it's now center the content.
for margin left, margin right, auto. So it stays centered. And we'll do that. And there we go. Cool. Other thing is I don't like how they're touching. So put some margin bottom on these. Margin bottom of like 4 on.
Yeah, I don't want things touching.
So
I don't want things touching. That's why interesting. So I don't want things touching. So you can patty some margin bottom here.
put some margin bottom on these. Margin bottom of like
4
on that. Another margin bottom on the paragraph of 4.
Another margin bottom of
there we go.
Bottom, so they're not touching. And then you
for
got
the button, we'll just make a little button right quick. We can just call this like a background of
we're gonna
blue.
add now here
600 like that. And
background
we can add some padding
blue,
of like 4.
600, some padding.
And we can say we want it to be
4
rounded
to all
around
of
the
that.
corners. Let's make it rounded,
Rounded.
large.
We want to make it rounded.
And then we'll say font
Rounded.
or text large.
Large. Right.
Actually, text extra large. There we go.
And the
And
text I want to make
actually,
extra
I'm gonna change the
large.
padding from 4 to like PX4, and then PY of like 2.
Okay. This is not to
And
make.
Actually,
Yeah,
I'm gonna change the
to
padding
align
from
the
4
ma-
to like
the-
PX4, and then PY of like 2. There we go. Much better.
PI2.
And now you got a button. Cool. Only other thing we need to do is just make this button go somewhere when you click something. So let's do that.
And then you have
so
that
I'll wrap
button
this
here.
button in a link tag. So if I bring in the link tag from next link, like so, mine just auto imported. If you're wondering why I didn't go import it, because it just did it for me, but it's from next link. You've probably used it before if you use Next.js. And then all you have to do is just add an href here, and then the path you want to go to. In this case, when someone clicks get started, we want them to go to /journal, which we haven't made yet. So obviously it'll 404 if we click on it. And that's it. And we just made, a award-winning landing page. So
Yep. That's pretty much it. And then you can now redirect this using the link provided by Next. That's right. Yep. Cool. You can also get rid of the image here for that. And you got here with the link. And actually TypeScript is complaining about that and say, hey, what is the reference that you're gonna go with? I'm telling here is like, hey, right now is the journal, right? And that's pretty much it.
and we just made, a award-winning landing page.
And that's it. And we are within here. Yep, and within here an award-winning landing page. That's right. Pretty straightforward, It's pretty straightforward. You can say is the landing page. Landing page, right? Say here. Oh, because we need to stages. Why is not? Oh, let me save them. All right. And then say get status. Add that page to that. This is now the commit of the landing page, and pretty much that's it. Say git push origin to that app setup authentication. That's right. There you got it. Cool. And that's it. It's pretty much that. So this is now the app setup authentication. You know. So app setup authentication. And yep. You create this pull request here for that, and then you got it. That's quite interesting. That's very, very interesting. Pretty much. Yep. Pretty much it. Yep. Just like that. So, well, that'll be all for this video. Take care.